Hello, this is Tom Brevoort. You are listening to Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast.
Yes, welcome back, Looney listeners. You are listening to Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast. This is episode 160, and you are with your High Priest of Khonshu Rey. Welcome. This is a new comic book review. So, just myself at this time. We'll be looking at the latest release of the Avengers, Volume 8, Issue 35, Part 3 of the Age of Khonshu. So glad that you could join me, join us, join all the Loonies for this episode. A big thank you, as always, at the top of our show. I'd like to thank our Patronies. So Dustin, Justin, Wayne, Josh, James, Russell, and Anthony. Thank you so much, guys, for contributing and supporting the show. It goes a long way. It's actually sprouted another show in the To Know Her Is to Fear Her Spider-Woman podcast, so a big thank you for that. I'm having a lot of fun over there as well. And also a big thanks to our two sponsors, Hello Headphones, empowering gamers to play at their best, and Dreamland Comics from Illinois, the superhero superstore. Well, Loonies, as mentioned, this will be a review and some feedback, I guess a bit of a reaction episode to the recently released Avengers part of the Age of Khonshu. But before that, just a little bit of chat. News-wise, look, there's not much. There never usually is. I was about to let you know about a particular video for some leaks for Moon Knight, the TV show. But as I say this, I recently have just deleted that. That was spam, reported as spam on our group page. So a big thank you for the Loonies to report that. And I didn't open that at all. But needless to say, it's no surprise that there isn't any news as yet. The only thing I did hear was, I guess, with scheduling. They're looking at I believe they're saying now the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show might get pushed to 2021, and that will push all the other shows like Miss Marvel, Moon Knight, and She-Hulk further back as well. There was also something on an article, which mentioned that their priorities would be on Hawkeye and Miss Marvel as a TV show. Now, whether that will affect the Moon Knight TV show or whether that will run the risk of it being, I don't know, just maybe cancelled or what have you. It's prioritised a lot further down along with She-Hulk. We'll just have to wait and see. But that was a bit of an interesting bit of news which I did find on the interwebs. It kind of makes sense with Hawkeye maybe taking a bit more of a front step, I guess, by way of TV shows. I mean, the character has really been established in the movies in the MCU, so it makes sense. And also Miss Marvel's quite a popular character as well, so maybe her ties with Inhumans, I'm not too sure, but she definitely has a very strong fan base, so I can see that those two being the priorities for the TV show, alongside, the staple Falcon, Winter Soldier, and WandaVision, and What If, and all those shows. But hopefully that will not affect the Moon Knight TV show. We'll just have to wait and see. So apart from that news, what has been happening around the traps with myself, Moon Knight related? The big thing I want to mention is that not that long ago I teamed up with a good friend of the show, the Drop King, Phil Perrich from Capes and Lunatics and Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks, and we had a good chat with two industry legends, Terry Kavanagh and Howard Mackey. So we had a good couple of hours just talking to those guys. They were so accommodating and so personable, and had a lot of stories to tell. So a lot of good material in the recording. It's great. Just to let you know that in the future episodes we'll be releasing I think there's an Over the Moon coming up, which is an arc review. I'll play an excerpt of Terry Kavanagh talking about his experience on Mark Spector Moon Knight, the 90s series, his arcs towards the end. Now, I have got earmarked to do in the Over the Moon segment in a couple of weeks the Blood Brothers arc, which he did, which was from memory, I think in the early 30s issues of the Mark Spector Moon Knight. We'll cover that, but alongside that, I'll throw in some of the chat that we had with Terry Kavanagh. Very interesting fella, very fine chap. And also, as an added bonus, we did chat to Howard Mackie about one of my favourite issues of Moon Knight and all-time comic book issues, Mark Spector Moon Knight issue 25, with Howard Mackie writing a Moon Knight tale alongside his favourite character, Ghost Rider. So I have a little bit of material there with Howard speaking of his experience over at the Moon Knight stable. Now, also as well, we expanded because I joined Phil on a monthly show doing the Scarlet Spider, as some of you know. We did talk about the Clone Saga, which we'll add to our show there. But the entirety of the conversation, which was it's about 2 hours long. We covered a lot. We covered the ins and outs of the Marvel office back in the day, some other colleagues, the great Mark Grunwald, Moon Knight, Spider-Man, you name it. We talked about it. The early stuff that Terry and Howard wrote, that's all covered in that, and that will be an exclusive Patreon episode. So look out for that soon as well. Very excited to have chatted with those two legends. So that has been keeping me busy as well. Added to that, also the additional shows which I do, that's keeping me off the streets, so to speak. So a lot of fun's been had with that. So we have some feedback for this issue. We'll get to it as well, but as always, what I want to do is round out what we are going to do, and as mentioned, Avengers Volume 8, Issue 35, Part 3, The Age of Khonshu. Now, what we generally... And this is available, on floppy and on digital as well, and I'm assuming down the track in trade, of course. This was released in August 2020. We have writer Jason Aaron, penciler and inker Javier Garrón, colorist Jason Keith, letterer Cory Petit, and editors Tom Brevoort and Alanna Smith, and Martin Biro as well as assistant editor. So what we generally do is a little bit different. This is just me by myself. What I'm going to do, I'm going to run through the bare bones, which is a synopsis of the issue for those that want a summary of what it was all about. And then I'll get into some points, I guess, what I liked and didn't like about the issue. And since it's only myself, I'm going to bleed this into some listener feedback as well. So we've got a fair bit of listener feedback. Interesting to hear what you guys thought of this issue as well. Previously, parts 1 and 2 I found entertaining, though the first 2 issues to me were really quick, fast-paced. They threw a lot at the reader, so I was a little overwhelmed with it, and I wasn't too sure how Moon Knight was depicted in it, especially with him just picking up all those the powers from the 1 million BC Avengers. But we'll see how we go with this issue 3. So for the bare bones, this is a little different as well. I had not written this, so I'm just going to go through quickly by flicking through this comic. So it opens up with 1 million years ago, and we see alongside the 1 million BC Avengers, we see a first iteration of Moon Knight, which seems to be Khonshu-inspired, one of the Neanderthals or the cavemen, and they, or it or he, attacks the 1 million BC Avengers, including the likes of Black Panther, Iron Fist, the Sorcerer Supreme, Odin, Ghost Rider and the Phoenix and Starbrand as well. Shift to today, and in the New Thebes city, which formerly known as the island of Manhattan, Khonshu has kind of consolidated his power. He has all his followers there. He's got Mjolnir, and he's got some of the Ankhs with him, powered up from the powers stripped from the likes of Doctor Strange and Iron Fist, and he's just contemplating what he must do and his power, and what lies ahead. And as he is on his throne and with his acolytes, an iteration of Mephisto appears in cowboy guise and attacks Khonshu, but Khonshu is ready. Elsewhere, the Avengers, Captain America, Blade, and Jennifer Walters, aka She-Hulk, look to, ambush the Moon Train, which has the likes of Doctor Strange and Danny Rand in sarcophagi. Is that right? Sarcophaguses. And they are being held by, again, Khonshu's acolytes and some zombified mummies. She-Hulk, Captain America, and Blade make short work of them. And they retrieve the bodies, as well as Robbie Reyes as well, who had been attacked and his Hellcharger taken from him by Moon Knight. We again shift to an area where Iron Man, Captain Marvel, and the Starbrand, in the guise of a young baby girl who has been taken under Tony Stark's wing, they're being attacked by zombies and Khonshu's acolytes as well. Captain Marvel and Tony Stark have an exchange. Carol has an exchange, all to do with responsibilities and basically the situation with this Starbrand baby that Tony has to kind of figure out what to do as well. And coupled with that, the importance of the Starbrand, which seems to be passed on to her from her mum, who unfortunately died earlier on. As they are speaking, Carol is attacked by what seems to be the Avatar of Vengeance, the Moon Knight Spirit of Vengeance, Mark Spector, who has the Hellcharger and is in the guise of a Ghost Rider. Carol is incapacitated while Mark Spector speaks to Iron Man, and he mentions a few things which has Iron Man running for the hills as Carol escapes her bound tentacles. She comes out and she tries to save Tony Stark from Moon Knight, but sees that he has a purpose to get the Starbrand, the little baby, far away from Khonshu as possible. So off they fly away. Back to Khonshu's temple, Mephisto is defeated soundly, but we soon see that there is a pile of Mephistos which Khonshu has systematically defeated, and we see Khonshu's fear that he will never get rid of Mephisto unless he has all the power. So he's still chasing the Starbrand and the Phoenix Force, I believe, and still trying to extract the power of Bust, I imagine, from Black Panther. As the final reveal, we see T'Challa, who has escaped his bondages, and he faces Khonshu now, ready to say, "Look me in the eyes, Moon God, and I promise you this, one of us will break here today, and it will not be the Black Panther." So that ends issue 35, which was quite, I must say, straight off the bat for me, it was a much more enjoyable read. It slowed things down finally. I found issue 33 very enjoyable because it hit the ground running. Issue 2 kept up the pace, and I was getting a little worried that things were just moving too fast and a lot of ideas were just thrown at the reader. Finally now in this part 3, which mind you is a 5-parter, so we're right in the middle of this arc. We're starting to actually get a little bit more characterization of Khonshu. We see a bit more of a dynamic with Captain Marvel, Carol, and Iron Man, and what he feels, his feelings towards taking care of the Starbrand, but also a little bit of a play there from Mark Spector. So we're starting to see that Moon Knight is not necessarily working for Khonshu. He has some ideas in mind. This was alluded to in part 2, but the fact that Tony catches wind that Mephisto is the big bad, and things have to be addressed. Anyway, so I guess like the art here as usual is pretty solid. I enjoy Javier Garrón's art. Things look luscious here. The likes of Ghost Rider, Moon Knight is really cool. The 1 million BC Avengers look really good as well. Tony Stark in the Iron Man suit. It all looks really cool. So got no qualms with that there. Blade, Captain America, She-Hulk look great. I love seeing them there. They were kind of a little of a balm for me, because they had nothing to do with the million BC powers and stuff. They are just the Avengers, and they're out to do their thing. If I start at the very beginning, though, I don't know, a little reservations about this caveman having the power of Khonshu. I guess you can take it either way. I mean, Bemis did introduce that Moon Knight was a legacy character, and Khonshu endows particular avatars or figures as being avatars of vengeance. This caveman being the first one, I guess. I don't know. I think it's been mentioned before as well. Like Moon Knight, sure, he might not be the only Moon Knight out there, but Mark Spector Moon Knight is very different and very distinct because of the type of person Mark is as well, and so there's a lot more to it, to Moon Knight than just, I guess, being the avatar of vengeance. So I don't know, I'm divided by it. I think it's pretty cool, but I think we have enough legacy characters, don't we? I mean, this pretty much sells it already. I mean, we apparently, and in the, is it the Brubaker, Matt Fraction? Is it Matt Fraction? I can't remember. The Iron Fist, the Immortal Iron Fist run, their legacy, Iron Fist is a legacy character. Black Panther's a legacy character. We see Ghost Rider now as a legacy character. Do we really need Moon Knight in there as well? I thought he was a little bit different from that. But anyway, it is what it is, and it opens with that. And so there's always been... What I do like what Aaron has done here is that he's given a greater importance of Khonshu here. So rather than Khonshu being this very obscure deity, which may or may not have been real for Mark Spector, which is a facet that I like, over here at least it shows, and it's saying with no reservations, that Khonshu is a powerful being and is always here, and is that we rely on Khonshu a lot because he controls the moon. So kind of made out to be quite a powerful character. If we move to the scene with Khonshu, I do like this. It does show Khonshu's, I guess, character a bit more through his interactions with his acolytes. Basically, and it's him saying it as well, but I guess it's also Mark Spector. It's not enough. He's got Mjolnir, he's got the Eye of Agamotto, he's got the other Ankhs as well, I guess, Shao Lao power. But he this power isn't enough for him. So it's not only this thirst for power, but he feels he needs this power to defeat Mephisto. So it's very strange. It's like you can kind of see him as bad because he's taken over the island of New York as New Thebes, but at the same time he's trying to beat this evil presence. But you can see some unsurety in him as well. And even towards the end, where we see him fighting Mephisto or defeating Mephisto, and there being a countless pile of devils, it's just not enough. And he really needs... He doesn't seem sure of himself and sure of the power. And I kind of like that. The fight with Mephisto is pretty cool. I mean, I like this idea. I don't know why that he's come out like a cowboy. I guess he just comes out in many different iterations. So that's a bit of fun, and we see that later on played out. So again, moving to the Moon Train, what I did like here, I really enjoyed Blade's interaction here with Captain America, and he was drawn very well. Same with Jen Walters, although I found maybe one of her hero shots, I don't know, she just seemed to be massive above Captain America and Blade, and I don't know, just seemed a little stilted in that. I don't know what her power is. She sprayed some gamma radiation through her mouth to the mummies, but I really love Blade in this, and Cap's always good in there as well. So didn't know what to expect, but interesting to see that they rescued the likes of Danny Rand, who's got a beard, so he must have been in that sarcophagus for quite a while. Doctor Strange is also bearded, but he's always got a beard, and Robbie Reyes stuck in those sarcophagus. So they're safe at least. I'm hoping we see them back in action. I'm hoping we see their power returned at some point, but we'll have to wait and see. I have a feeling that it will be more Moon Knight versus Khonshu and Mephisto somehow, and all of these other Avengers will take a back seat, except for, I guess, Captain Marvel and Iron Man. Iron Man seems to have an integral role here with the Starbrand baby, and she will have a big part, I'm sure, in defeating both Khonshu and Mephisto. So yeah, again, a little bit more fleshing out. Again, I liked how the pace slowed here with Carol and Tony just chatting away. It was a deliberate, I guess, slowing down. So I guess what I'm saying also as well is that to read this in the trade, like, you know, all one after the other, probably serves better than monthly. Because I can see it, like, if you can see holistically, the first two issues going at a cracking pace, and then if you're reading this as a trade, you come up to issue 3, it kind of slows things down, and I think it will work better than that, rather than it spread out as a serial over the months, because I just got a little confused and a little concerned with issue 2, but I now see that Jason Aaron's trying to explain things now, and we'll see. I mean, again, I still have a little bit of reservations because we've only got 2 more parts to go. Not much Moon Knight here. He's basically shown as the Ghost Rider. I love the use of the chains, and I love the tentacles, or this Cthulhu-type creature coming from the boot of the Hell Charger. So Carol is easily restrained there, as powerful as she is, but hell, you know, he's got the power of hell and stuff with him, or at least kind of like hell. So anyway, so this thing about him whispering something to Tony has really got him worried. And no, I like it. I like it how Tony's kind of changed. He's on board with it. And yeah, I guess towards the end, I mean, finally we see, as I mentioned, the Polar Devils. I really like seeing T'Challa back here. We saw him in issue 2, being tortured and, you know, restrained. I want to see him kind of unleash on Khonshu. It'll be very interesting how he goes up against Khonshu. Khonshu is pretty powerful, so I don't know what T'Challa has up his sleeve, but I guess we'll soon find out. So yeah, I mean, in the scheme of things, what would I give it? I think it's an improvement from issue 2 for me. I'd still give it maybe a 6.5 out of 10. I don't know, I can't remember if that's the same as what I gave last issue. But a 6.5. I think it was enjoyable enough. I wouldn't say it's totally memorable. I'm wondering whether the whole event will be memorable, but it is fun, if anything. Like I think I mentioned in the group, I think this event will come and go, and whether or not it will be taken up later on, or some of the components remembered, who's to say? I think it will just be a nice, fun 5-parter series with the use of Khonshu and Moon Knight, but I don't think it will have much impact on Moon Knight character, nor do I think it will have much impact on the TV show, which will probably lean towards more of the classic mold of Moon Knight. So yeah, 6.5. I'd say I'd give it. So I'll give it a Waning Gibbous. I always hover around there. I think that's a safe bet. Definitely not a 5. I enjoyed it a lot more than it being just passable. Much to do with the art here. As well as a bit more of meat to the writing. I think, like I said, there's nothing wrong with action scenes and all that, and hitting the ground running, but it's got to be tempered. You got to have it contrasting with something. Otherwise, I just keep on thinking of that Hugh Jackman film, Van Helsing, which I'm not sure if anyone's a fan of, but I found it really, really just an overwhelming kind of. Let's throw everything at the wall. Let's have an action scene every scene. And that didn't do it any favours. So anyway, Loonies, those are my thoughts. I'm going to now just throw out some thoughts here that some of the Loonies have passed on as well. So I'm going to open up with our Twitter. So on Twitter, I'll put up a discussion thread, and John, the amazing Yan, at John Yanchek1, he said, glad this issue slowed down a little and gave up some character moments. Me too, John, me too. Khonshu finally getting the adoration he feels he deserves for all the moon does for us, but still afraid of Mephisto. Stark struggling with the issue of caring for baby. It's an odd story, but I'm enjoying. Thanks, John. I think that pretty much sums it up for me as well. It is an odd story. Like I said, I probably think I'd love to reread this as when I get the trade, and just read the whole 5 parts one after the other in my hands. You know, I'm actually reading all of these digitally. I'd like to read it old school, and maybe that might change my mind. I still have my perception of what Moon Knight I'd like to see. This isn't it, but it is fun nevertheless. So, yeah, so thank you there, John. Also, I'm going to jump over now to our Facebook group. And so we've got a few here. I put out another call for any comments, because it was getting a little sparse. I was a little worried. Didn't know whether people were reading it or whether people had an opinion of it. Just keen to know. So thank you to, I'll say, first one, Gian Rafina. I've seen Gian banding about in our group, so good to hear from you as well. He says, while it may have a lot of silly moments, I am still curious to see how it leads up to and what role Mark will play in it. Me too. I think Mark will he'll be the go-to guy. I think he'll be the guy that will go up against Khonshu, with maybe Tony Stark, with the Starbrand baby. I think we'll see those two with the baby go up against Khonshu and Mephisto, and then magically at the end all the powers to Iron Fist and Doctor Strange and all that will be brought back. I'm not too sure how Black Panther factors into it. Which will be a bit of an anticlimax. He might get just soundly defeated early next issue, and then just his power absorbed. But that's the way I see it played out for Moon Knight. We have the power of Chad here. Always good to hear from you, Chad. And Chad mentions here, let me just expand this up. This issue threw a few curveballs. I did not expect the Mephisto ad infinitum. How do you say it? Infinitum. Ad infinitum. And really didn't expect the Hellcharger to bring non-Euclidean storage options with it. I enjoy Tony and Mark having relatively sane conversation without one writing the other off out of anger or disability. For once, they're on the same page, but reading from opposite lines. I think the Phoenix will come from an unexpected OG mutant, and not in a traditional way as Aaron lives to trip up expectations. Yeah, interesting thoughts there, Chad, and you're probably on course to seeing it all unfold. Of course, Phoenix is one of the big forces that hasn't been plundered yet. And we know from solicitations that Enter Phoenix is going to be the big event after the Age of Khonshu. So the tagline is Exit the Age of Khonshu, Enter Phoenix. So whether or not we see the Phoenix in the Age of Khonshu. I'm not too sure. We might get a little bit of a tease at the end, or mention that, you know, the Phoenix Force is still out of reach for everyone. And we might get a bit of a tease as to who has it that will lead us into enter the Phoenix Force. So thank you, Chad. The third one I have here from Rick Ball, Rick Gentusa. Good to hear from Rick. And he says, I have not read this, so this will be cool. I feel this issue is fine at best. There's not a ton of plot progression, and it's a pretty slow story, and I'm invested in it. I like that it's starting to connect many of the plot threads that have been building this entire run. Also, it's interesting how Moon Knight seems to understand he's in the wrong here, yet continues to side against the Avengers, at least for now. Yeah, it's a very interesting dynamic, Rick, and I kind of like it. We know that Moon Knight's always a lone wolf, and I think I mentioned this before as well. He's going against the Avengers because I don't believe he thinks that they can carry out the task at hand. And so I think he's really going it alone, and he's playing both. Well, he's played them, but he's playing Khonshu as well. So he's not giving Khonshu everything. I think he wants to eventually usurp Khonshu and defeat Mephisto as well. But I think he'll have help from Tony Stark, and or the Starbrand, and or Captain Marvel at least, because that contingent to the side, they seem to be progressing nicely. Whether or not the She-Hulk, Blade, and Captain America, they may well do. But it looks like they're more of a search and rescue so far. So they've done their job. I'm not sure whether they'll have much impact in the scheme of things against Mephisto. But thank you for your comments. I'm going to also jump now to, I think there was one short one. I'm just going to move to our Facebook page. And what we have here from Billy Brooks, I believe. Let me just pull this bad boy page up. Not that one. And so from... sorry, my bad. From Brandon Bartley Chambers, we have okay, so I've actually been having a pretty good time with this arc, Brandon says. Yeah, it's nuts, and yeah, I got no idea what the Starbrand is or why it matters, but this issue showcased a great mission with Cap, Blade, and She-Hulk. Their rapport was good, and I especially like Blade's joke about not being Canadian. I'm definitely pumped to see where things go. My question is, where does Moon Knight go after this arc? I'm assuming they'll hit the reset button somehow by the end of issue 37. Yeah, Brandon, I'm not too sure. I think the easy answer for that is I think they will hit the reset button. I think Moon Knight will, continuity anyway in Marvel is shot. So I think after this adventure, Moon Knight will either revert to his street-level self with no connection to having been given godlike powers by Khonshu. I think that will all be stripped. It might even be stripped at the end of this arc, but that's the way I see it going. I did love the reconnaissance with the Cap, Blade, and She-Hulk, and as I mentioned, Blade was very entertaining to read. So I think Aaron has a good handle of Blade there. Has enough. He's got a little bit of sass, doesn't he? So I enjoyed that. I'm just going to go quickly to another page here. Let's see if I can get any note. Alright, what I'll do, I do have an email here as well, and this is from Derek from TV Podcast Industries. Derek, always cool to hear from you. Interesting to hear your thoughts here. So Derek writes on email, just a few thoughts on the latest issue of Age of Khonshu. I like the balance of storytelling and action better than last issue. A bit more detail behind why Khonshu is pissed at not being included in the original prehistoric Avengers. Very good point. I enjoyed the repeating battles with Mephisto. The idea that he's fighting through the hordes of hell for his 2-second revenge fight against Khonshu was great. The banter between Tony and Carol while they're protecting Brandy Star is pretty fun, but my favourite line was Blade saying he liked Steve Rogers' because for once he's not the oldest guy on the team. Also, She-Hulk making herself angry gave me a good laugh. That was funny too as well. Lots more good stuff in the issue that I'm sure you'll be discussing. Looking forward to Black Panther versus Khonshu next time. Me too. Excited to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much, Derek, and great points that you pointed out there as well, especially Khonshu being kind of on the outer and being a little salty at not being part of the original Avengers. That is a very good point indeed, because that factors into, I guess, his makeup of how he relates to the 1 million BC, those original Avengers. Definitely the quips from Aaron are on point as well, from Blade and She-Hulk as well. You just reminded me, that was very funny indeed. But thank you, Derek, as well. There was one other one, I was just trying to find it. I believe it was from Billy Brooks. Sorry, Billy, I can't find the exact post of yours, but I think you did mention something along the lines of you just want your OG Moon Knight back and not the MCU version that we see currently in the run. Yeah, look, I can understand your concerns and your frustrations as well. Moon Knight is very much depicted as a different figure here, but we are exploring more of the Khonshu side of it. And again, this is an Avengers book, so as you say, and as frustrating as it is, the writers who are writing mainly for the Avengers will take toys from the other sandpits and use them as they see fit. And unfortunately, or fortunately, Moon Knight is used in a lot more of a grandiose manner here, a lot more than what we are familiar with the Doug Mensch and the Bill Sienkiewicz run, say for instance, or the Charlie Houston run of 2006. But hopefully, look, it's going to be a short-lived thing. It's 5 parts. It's going to be over in a couple of issues. Hopefully you can find some joy in this 5-parter, as even if it's just like a bit of a throwaway entertainment. So yeah, but thank you for your thoughts anyway. Always good to hear from you. Now finally as well, we have some thoughts here from Phil. So Drop King Phil. Let me just make sure that this is all happening. Okay, so Phil, yeah, I'd say take it away. Sorry, I'm just fiddling with technical here. I'm trying to do it all on the fly. Take it away, Phil.
Hello, Ray, and all the loyal loonies out there. This is Phil from the Capes and Lunatics and Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks podcasts. I read Avengers 35, Age of Khonshu Part 3, and oh my god. Not Khonshu, but anyway. Again, another intriguing issue. We see that just like with a lot of the other, the Avengers characters we've gotten in previous issues, I guess Khonshu had an avatar even 1,000,000 years ago. And again, Khonshu, just, I don't know what's going on with this character. If he's truly as evil as he appears, or if he's being manipulated. And Gunslinger Mephisto, I'm just, can some Mephisto give us back Spider-Man's marriage? And yes, no, I will never stop making that joke. And no, it's not a joke. I want Spider-Man's marriage back. Anyway, I like that we get some Captain America. We really haven't gotten a lot of Captain America in this arc. I like what we did with the She-Hulk. I'm assuming this comes before Empire. No spoilers. Blade, I don't know. I didn't always buy that. If should Blade be on a team with Avengers? But I buy it here. And I don't know. The thing. I mean, we got Captain Marvel and Iron Man. I don't know. Just I get that Tony Stark is freaked out, but just between this and what we're getting with Tony Stark currently in Empire, I don't know why I don't know. It just seems like I know everybody can't be the hero, be the number one hero of a story, but it just seems like they're breaking down Tony Stark for some reason, and I don't know why. If it was just the one story, one or the other, I can maybe see it, but I don't know why we're just breaking down the character of Tony Stark like this, especially since the end of Iron Man 2020 is coming, and we're supposed to have like a big triumphant return of Tony Stark in September. Maybe that's the reason. Are we breaking down the character so the new creative team can, I don't know, is this going to be leading to, like a purely primal, I don't want to say primal, but a pure Tony Stark of the comics once again, who I feel he's been influenced by Robert Downey Jr. in the MCU in the last at least decade. So like I said, waiting to see what happens with Iron Man next month. I'm intrigued to see what happens with Ghost Rider at the end of this arc. Is something going to happen to Khonshu? Is Mark and Khonshu's relationship going to withstand whatever comes at the end of this story? And let's just face it, I mean, Khonshu with Thor's hammer versus Black Panther, I mean, come on. Royal Rumble, seriously. Alright, so again, thank you for giving me time, Ray, and thank you everyone for listening to me babble, and I can't wait for the next issue. Can't wait to hear all the stuff Ray has planned for this podcast, and remember, catch me on the Capes Lunatics Sidekicks podcast. Alright, till next time, catch ya.
Yes, thank you, Phil. Always fun to hear from you. So really interesting thoughts that you said. I can't really speak much about the Iron Man side of things. I'm slowly getting caught up to speed with the Iron Man titles. I haven't touched Empire as well, but it's interesting to hear what you say, that that the way he's been handled here, it may conflict with, I guess, what the plans are for Tony Stark eventually when they do that new series which is going to come out soon. So I don't know. It's going to have to be one of those wait and see things for me as well. And I'm not too sure what's happening in Empire as well. I think I read the first issue of Empire, and there was this thing about this inner monologue with Tony Stark about I don't know, about him. There's some sort of internal struggle or something that he had, or some sort of yearning that he wanted to, that he felt he was compelled to do. But anyway, some loonies probably know way more than me about the Empire. But thank you, Phil. And also, I'm not sure about your comment at the end there about Khonshu with Black Panther. Royal Rumble, I don't know. I see it as really one-sided, but with Khonshu and Mjolnir, but I guess you should never underestimate T'Challa. I'm sure he's got something up his sleeve. He's been beaten. I think he's been stripped of some of his equipment. I don't know what he's going to do. Let's just hope, as I say, that it's not anticlimactic and he just gets pummeled in the first page of next issue and just assimilated. We'll just have to wait and see. But a huge thank you, Phil. A huge thank you, everyone, for leaving in some thoughts. It's always interesting to hear, because I'm just, as you can hear, I'm just going solo here as the High Priest. I've only got my thoughts to go with, and a lot of them may be wrong. They're just my thoughts and opinions. So hearing from everyone else really does add a lot of variety, and makes me think as well a bit more about the issues and the events of the Age of Khonshu. Anyway, Loonies, that pretty much wraps it, I think, for this episode. A shorter one. It was originally going to be a reaction episode, but just due to some scheduling issues and recordings, I've had to push it back, and it's now just become kind of like a standard review of this issue. So at the moment, we're tracking Part 3, Age of Khonshu. For me, it's been kind of just a little bit above middle of the road. Certainly, it's not going to be one of the ones that I will be revisiting over and over again, but I'm curious as to see how it's going to wrap up in the last 2 parts. The art is great. I do like the art. It's a different style. Moon Knight comes across as less... he's got that obviously less kind of sketchy look, but in the same keeping of, say, even the latest run of Bemis with Jason Burrows' fantastic art. Anyway, so we'll have to wait and see next month when issue 36 will arrive, and we'll do a new comic book review. Again, I don't know whether I'll just try and do a quick fire reaction episode, or if I have a guest on and we discuss and review the issue more intimately or thoroughly, or both. Anyway, so next phase, Loonies, will be our episode 161. And we'll be looking again at a full moon. It will be a full moon if you look up into the sky. And it will be another Moon and Stars segment. And I thought, in keeping with the huge mistake that I made with our audio commentary, we might as well follow it through. So I'm hoping to have Chad with me again. He was on there with Alex Robson a few episodes ago when we did the audio commentary for Maximum Venom Part 1. So we'll be doing Part 2 again in the lead up, because Part 3 will have Moon Knight in it. Might as well do Part 2. We don't want to miss out we don't want to have any gaps. So Part 2 will be interesting. We'll get to see how the symbiotes, I guess, form, and we'll have a lot of a better grounding for when we finally do tackle Part 3, which will have Moon Knight in it, which was released a few months ago. I've already watched it. I'm sure many loonies have as well. It was entertaining, a very different take on Moon Knight. I'm looking forward to it, but let's get through Part 2 first. So that will be in the following week. Again, if you want to be privy to bonus material similar to what I mentioned at the top of the show, the exclusive interviews with Terry Kavanagh and Howard Mackey, please consider becoming a Patreon member. Just go to patreon.com/ITKMoonKnight and see if any of the tiers take your fancy. Also, I have been notified that there is an option for annual membership as well, so I'm going to have to look into that, and if that is more pleasing to some loonies out there, or who want to become annual members, please just hit me up with questions, and I'll see if I can make that happen. But I should have that up and running on a Patreon page after I give it some research. Also, as well, again, a big thank you to our sponsors, Hello Headphones. If you use the code ITKMoonKnight, you'll get a 10% off their online store. Go get yourself another pair of headphones or earphones if you like. As well as Dreamland Comics, use the code MOON and you'll get a whopping 20% off their store. So any of your back issues that you may want to retrieve or complete for your set, go check out Dreamland Comics. They're really good. Also, as well, I shall also make mention of we had the fantastic Sandy on. So Knight__shop. It's on Instagram. He sells a lot of back issue comics as well. Go hit him up with a DM. Just mention ITK Moon Knight and he'll give you 15% off any of the stuff that he has on offer and that you may want to buy. And finally, as well, just affiliate members to Entertainment Earth. Now, this is another thing. So if you want to collect your action figures, go through them as well, and any purchase that you make through our link will help our show as well. Incidentally, I don't know about Loonies out there, I've seen a few posts, which is fantastic. The Walgreens exclusive of Moon Knight, the Marvel Legends. I've managed to order that myself. And for anyone who's looking for it outside of the US, please try Zavvi, ZAVVI.UK, or I'd try the .com.au here. And you can still pre-order it. So I've ordered myself a figure, so I can't wait. I'm glad I haven't missed out on that, but they're getting quite hard to find, quite expensive on eBay. So try out Zavvi, and they might help you if you're still looking. Finally, as well, we are part of the Collective, so a band of like-minded podcasters. I'm going to mention not only the Collective, but a couple of other special shows as well. So, of course, we have Adelan Rising, a comic book podcast. There's also the likes of Signal of Doom and We Are Venomaniacs, a Venom podcast, all part of the Collective, and all great podcast shows in their own right. A little plug to the new show that I do monthly. I'll be monthly now, joined with Seren, who is one of the co-hosts of Adelan Rising. We are doing a Spider-Woman podcast. It's called To Know Her Is to Fear Her. Go check it out. We've got episode 1 done already. Today I recorded with Seren and with none other than Carla Pacheco, the current writer of Spider-Woman. We had a good old yarn, and that's going to be coming out on our episode 2, in which we will be discussing issue 3, and we had so much fun talking to Carla about issues 1 and 2 and everything in between, her writing, her characters, the way that she wrote her characters, stuff like that. So it was a really fun time. Go check it out. And we'll be monthly with each release of the new Spider-Woman issues there as well. Also, again today, I also recorded The Last Sons of Krypton with my co-host Connor. So that will be coming out soon as well. Keep an eye out. It may be out already. And we covered a cool crossover, Superman and Thundercats. If you are a child of the 80s, then you would know Thundercats and you would love them, as do I. So that was a really fun one-shot. It was like an annual size issue. Really fun to see Superman and the Thundercats Lion-O interact. Really fun stuff. And also as well, the end of the month is approaching, and I will be on a monthly show of the Ultimate Spider-Cast with Drop King Phil, who sent that awesome audio feedback on the Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks podcast, alongside Matt Kona, and we'll be looking at Funeral for an Octopus. That was a 3-parter. Includes Ben Reilly, the Scarlet Spider, but also Spider-Man and the Sinister Six, some of them as well. And that was a lot of fun to read. So that'll be coming out the last Tuesday of this month. So go check it out. That might be, actually that might have dropped before this episode. So there you go, plenty to listen to. Finally, you can email us on itkmoonnight@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Discord, Get Vocal. We have a website. As mentioned before, we're on Patreon. And check out Podchaser. And incidentally, with Podchaser and Apple Podcasts, if you leave us a review, that would really help us expand the show and reach other loonies out there who may not necessarily know that we're here. So anyway, loonies, thank you so much for listening to this review. Thank you again to everyone who sent some feedback, and I'll leave you with it. And as always, may Khonshu watch over the denizens of the night. Catch ya.
Moon Knight and affiliated characters, stories and events are properties of Marvel Characters Incorporated. Materials used and discussed within the podcast are intended for critique and review purposes only under the fair dealing concept of the current Copyright Act. The views, information or opinions expressed during the podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the copyright owners.